Testing, testing. Okay, I think you guys can hear me now. A little bit of a glitch with the audio. Okay, welcome everyone. Great to have you here. We're about to get started. Wayne Ferguson, good to see you. Nice to have you drop in yet again. Seeing a bit more of you lately, which is great. Awesome, everyone's hearing us now. We got a couple other people jumping in, and so I'll get started in a moment. And got an interesting development about the session today. And I'm sort of tempted to mention it now, but I think I'm going to hold off for a second and let you guys know what's interesting about today's session. And so I'll do our intro first, pull that up. Give me 1 second here. So yeah, welcome to Piano Tech Radio Hour. I know we've got a few people joining us on Facebook, a few on YouTube, and we will be signing off on Facebook and YouTube in maybe 15, 20 minutes. And of course, you can join us directly in the Zoom call if you want to. We always like to give you a little sneak peek into what's going on here. But welcome to Piano Tech Radio Hour. And what we do here is gather every Saturday to meet with and learn from the most fascinating and knowledgeable folks in the piano world. This could include piano manufacturers, rebuilders, musicians, makers of other instruments, all sorts of interesting folks that have some sort of connection to pianos. And of course, Piano Techs is one of our central focuses. Our mutual goal is to become better at a craft, helping each other, and to create an ever more musical world together. Piano Tech Radio Hour is brought to you by Piano Technicians Master Classes. It's an online learning resource that brings you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. And you can find out more about that at pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. And also, before we get started today, I want to remind everyone we've got a masterclass coming up in less than a month. And the page to sign up for that actually will be going live later today. And so we'll make sure that you all get a link to that in your email. So keep an eye out for the email later today. And what we'll be doing too soon, if it's not ready today, it'll be also ready soon. So if you're already a subscriber to Piano Technicians Masterclass, and this includes a craftsman, artisan, and apprentice level subscriptions, you'll be able to attend this class for free, no payment at all. And but if you aren't, then you should be able to sign up for a one-off class, and you can still attend. And what we're going to do is graduated pricing as time approaches for the actual class. So it'll be less expensive. The ultimate price of the class, once recording is available, will be $297. But as of today, I believe our launching price is going to be $150. And then we'll grade it in maybe 5 days up to 200 and then 250. So get in early. You can save yourself some good money. We'll also have a special coupon for some folks who know who they are, who sort of fulfilled some special activations earlier on from emails that we had sent out. And we'll try to get some discount codes out to the necessary folks. If you're already an existing subscriber, like I said, to Apprentice, Craftsman, Artisan, we'll have a way that you'll want to sign up just to sort of mark your presence for the class. If you want to be there, you'll get notifications, and we know that you're sort of prepared to join us. And there'll be like a nominal fee for the registration, somewhere between like $5 and $10 just to get our registration software rolling. But yeah, and that class is a class with Joe Jackson of Jackson Pianos out of St. Louis, Missouri. I'm very excited to be working with him. He wasn't really on my radar, several weeks ago. And, once we met him and had him join us, it's been really impressive to see what he's built. He started just like any one of us as just a piano tech, kind of doing a solo gig. Now I think he's got over 10 employees. He's doing everything from moving to rebuilding, to transportation, long distance of pianos and repairs, and regulation, voicing, working for some of the best people in his community. I think he's even got some non-for-profit community projects going on. So very ambitious guy, but also very humble and very community oriented. And basically, this class is titled Scaling Up, right? Scaling up in the piano industry. And, we decided scaling up a piano industry career doesn't mean you have to do exactly what Joe Jackson does. It means just thinking intentionally about your life and career desires and making the right moves to achieve success. And as part of this class, we're going to bring on a handful of special students for the class. And these folks will get discounted or free registration no matter what for the class. Um, and we've already got some responses for folks that are interested in that, but would love to just get a few more, get some diversity in the pool of folks that are interested. And so I'm going to pop a form in the chat here. If you fill out that form, and I guess this is for anybody, right? Even if you feel like you've had a longer career, but actually, I believe one of our applicants so far, no guarantee that this is one of the chosen applicants, but someone who actually had quite a longer career but wants to think about the transition, right? I've been in it so long, a lot of people talking about bringing on like apprentices or staff or something like that, and think that that's an interesting next move, right? Maybe even kind of setting up for retirement. This all is within the realm of possibility. Anyone from a super experienced piano technician to someone who's just getting started, right? I think we had a couple applicants that were like super early, like they just never tuned a piano before, so we probably won't go that early. But if you've just been in it 6 months to a year, I think this is fair game. So keep your eye out. Again, we'll put out the page to sign up for that later today via email, and we'll send out some special discount codes as well for applicable folks. Now, for the subject of today's class, what I want to surprise you with is that I'm actually back in Peru. So we've been in, we've had several sessions where we discussed, my visits to Peru back in 2015 and 2016, how I met with various piano technicians, encountered various interesting pianos in the Peruvian region. And what I'd like to do is just give you a sense of where I'm at right now, in terms of I've arrived, I've kind of reached out to some folks, there's been some developments, and what I'd like to do, we will have, for next class, we do have a scheduled session with another community member in the piano industry in New York City, where I've been quite a while and have a business running. We've got another person running a piano teaching operation, and she also has a podcast. I think it'll be very interesting to hear her perspective on sharing classical music with everyone, and what pianos have to do with that, and what she does has to do with that. But what I'd like to do this week is kind of reactivate some of these relationships that I started back in 2015 and 2016 and have shared with you all about, and see if I can't get some updates, get some more content. Of course, at that time, I was just writing a blog, but now we have the opportunity to kind of sit down with folks and do an interview, maybe something that's rebroadcast, maybe do a tour, maybe take a closer look at a piano that I had encountered. So yeah, what I'm going to do for a few minutes is lay out to you kind of the lay of the land and what's happened so far, and then maybe get some opinions on what you guys are curious about, so that that I could potentially follow up on some of these things. So we arrived here in Peru, I think it was not last night, but the night before last, relatively late. And so then the next morning I started to reach out to folks. If you had been attending these sessions for a while, you might remember a couple of the different players here in town. So the ones so far that I've touched base with are a gentleman named Frank Anders, who owns a piano business called Anders Pianos. Probably one of the most, kind of formal, high-end piano industry professionals in Lima that I had encountered. His family originates from Germany. He studied kind of German piano tradition, not, actually in the country, but as well as, absorbed it through his family. Is a guy who literally has like tools from his great grandfather still in his shop. and so previously I had visited the piano store, you know, gotten to know him, gotten a tour of the place, looked at some of the pianos that he worked with, looked at his shop. You know, we saw things like his piano, you know, one-off bass string making tool, and also just kind of learned what kind of brands he works with, what kind of work he does. So I did talk to Frank Anders yesterday on the phone. I spoke in my broken Spanish. I probably should have just spoken to the guy in English because I'm pretty sure he speaks English, but we did touch base. And he knows that I'm here and that I'm looking to reach out to him, and we're having some conversations via WhatsApp. He was a little bit busy when I chatted with him yesterday. Hoping to reach out to him again today and continue to touch base on things. And, you know, some thoughts about what to do there. I mean, first of all, I just love to kind of sit down with this guy and do a more in-depth interview with him over the course of an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. I do know there are some questions that came up from previous sessions, you know, from folks with regard to what he does and what it's like to be a piano technician here in Peru. You know, how does he get his parts and tools and stuff like that? What kind of clientele he works with, and you know, what the clip of the business is there. So I've definitely asked him about those things, kind of get an update on how business is for him, and what's going on a day-to-day basis, and just kind of let you guys get to know him more even deeply. So that's on the radar. Another thing, another development, which is interesting, is there was a piano, a vintage piano, in an Erard piano, like the famous pianist, sort of piano builder that invented double escapement of that piano brand. There were these sort of Erard brothers, and they built this piano brand. I believe the particular piano was built after Erard himself had passed, but this was kind of his company, you know, the extension of the brand he'd built, living on as a legacy. And it's still quite a vintage instrument. So in a previous session, we had found this piano, you know, looked up the serial number. I got to show you some of the interior of it, some of the parts. And various aspects of like, what does this piano look like? Some very interesting aspects of, you know, like the catcher, for example, was a fascinating part of the way the action was designed. Instead of being, or sorry, the back check. The back check was actually like a part that extended sort of within the hammer shank. And it was made of metal instead of made of buckskin, right, and wood, and it just had a sort of like a serrated area on the metal, and that would sort of catch the hammer. So very interesting, unique aspects of the piano. So an update on that. Again, this is me sort of working in my broken Spanish, so it makes the mystery even more fun to try to solve what's going on. I called the bookstore. So it was actually a bookstore where we originally found that piano. I called them this morning, and you know, I basically said, "Hey, is that piano still there? You know, I'm curious. I'm a piano tuner from the United States. Want to get an update on what's going on there." And again, broken Spanish conversation. What I came out with was that the piano was not there anymore. But what's interesting is they gave me an address, and again, I didn't make out all the words and meaning that they're delivering to me, but I got an address and I got a name. And the name of the guy was David Bayando, I think is the guy's name. I have to look it up, but and an address, which is 1119 Calle Real in San Isidro in Lima, Peru. And so I thought, okay, well, it sounds like the piano has moved to this new location, and the new location is also a bookstore. They call bookstores here librerias, and this one was called the Libreria Cafe. And so the next step there was to kind of go to that bookstore and see if I could find the piano. So actually, I did have a chance to do that this morning. And it's interesting what happened. I showed up at the bookstore and I asked if they had a piano there, and they said no. I didn't see one, you know, but of course I had to ask. And so I did say, well, what about this name, David Bayando? you know, do you know who he is? And they said, okay, yes, that guy is the owner of this shop. And they said he's in and out of the shop as an owner is, you know, maybe he's got some other things he's got to check, and he's in and out. Maybe he's in for maybe 5 minutes to an hour at any given time, but that they would update me next time he comes in. The very interesting the interesting aspect of this, of them giving me this address and this owner of this establishment and this bookstore to take a look at, is it's actually literally 1 block from where I just happened to be staying. So the piano shop that it was previously at, the piano was previously at, is, you know, it's not that close. It would probably be like a 15 to 20 minute cab ride, if even that quick. So something intriguing about the developments there. And maybe it's going to be easy for me to get some updates from the folks that work there, and just kind of pop my head in over there, maybe get a chance to talk to this David fellow and see what's going on with the piano. Those are like the 2 big leads that I have right now. And, you know, I'll be following those regardless, but it will be interesting to see if you guys have any input on, hey, yeah, like we want you to go like take a deeper look at that Erard piano, or like find more about its history, or, you know, take it apart again, take some more pictures, videos, so on and so forth, find out more about the sort of owners of it and how it's been changing hands or whatever. It seems like it's kind of been changing hands a little bit over the past, you know, 10 years. And then when it comes to Anders pianos, right? You know, we've mentioned that as well. Like, you know, what are the things that we might want to discuss with him? Like any interesting topics that you guys might enjoy following, right? So feel free to add those things in the chat here, unmute yourself, and, you know, tell us what you think might be interesting. You know, climate's an issue here. The sort of types of piano are interesting to explore when we talk to someone like Frank Anders, you know, where they come from, you know, what kind of relationships he needs to have with the piano makers and things to get his product around, you know, what it's like to run a business, how's the business going, so on and so forth. So beyond that, I'll outline a couple of the other sort of open loops that we have here in Lima, again, just to see if anything piques folks' interest. So there was another place that I encountered, or actually right now, let me take a pause. So the folks that are with us from Facebook and YouTube, unfortunately, we're going to have to sign off on those platforms, but I will provide a link, a registration link, and so that if you would like to join us within this actual session of Zoom, you can go ahead and register and come in and say hi. It was great to have you joining us remotely on socials. So I'll put a chat notice in the chat right now about how you can join us. And then I will also add a link that I only added in Zoom to the form if you were interested in some mentorship from Joe Jackson for this upcoming class. And by the way, the upcoming class is October 1st, and that will be about scaling up in the piano industry, any type of career you're interested in pursuing from this point forward. And he's going to be there to like take questions. We're going to do some preliminary engagement with him, with these folks that are curious to have his advisement and develop the concepts of the class so that everybody can learn from that moving forward. All right, so signing